Hi guys, it's the end of the season, season 8, and I've been experimenting with a lot of builds, speed farming, especially with the wizard, since that was my main class for season 8. And I tried the Talrasha Vyr build and the explosive blast build, and I felt the explosive blast build was nice for, I would say, solo up to maybe T12, and then you start having issues. And even on 4-player T12 was a bit difficult with the explosive blast build. Had some good items and everything, but I think that it wasn't to its full potential. Tried the Taurasha build. Liked the Taurasha build, but I realized that the stacks of Taurashas dropped after you popped Archon after 5 seconds, or 5 or 6 or 8 seconds, or something like that. So I realized that your damage output was a bit nerfed, and you had to really rely on the Swami, which is a bit more cumbersome and more complicated to control. So and I didn't like the experience also, so I tried another build, side on Diablo fans, but I also realized that this could be done basically by myself, but I realized that it already existed in Diablo fans, obviously, since everything is there. So it's a combination of both Fear, but with the Firebird set. So I'm going to explain to you a bit what I have right now. Sorry, in terms of items. So I have an Ingeum for the cooldown. Then I have one, two, three, four, 5 pieces of Firebird and 2 pieces of Veer. I also have an Obsidian Ring of the Zodiac for the cooldown. I have Hollow of Elris for for defense, and you can use any amulet. This is the best that I could find since I didn't really have a nice amulet. But you can use even a Hellfire, which would be the optimal, or any. Ideally, what you would want is a Fire Crit Crit, and I don't have that right now on my build. So you also need the Fazula's Improbable Chain for the Archon stacks. And for defense, obviously, Ancient Parthan Defenders, which synergizes very well with Hollow of Elris, and Ice Armor, which I'll get a bit further in the build. So what you need in terms of gems is Bane of the Trapped, obviously. Um, Bane of the Powerful for the elite increase, and also the damage gain, the damage buff, since you'll always be targeting elites in this build. And for some additional cooldown, but you can use any other gem, legendary gem. But this one I feel is the best, which is the Gogak of Swiftness, which really helps for your cooldown, and it gives you additional swiftness, which is always nice whenever you're attacking with Archon. So those are for the items. What you want to focus on is basically having as much cooldown as possible. I have 54, which I feel is fairly comfortable. Um, Anything above 50 would be nice. As much critical hit chance and damage as you can get, and attack speed really, whatever. Whenever you get some, that's great, but it's not the main stat that you need to get to have. Fire damage increase, obviously, since you'll be using your fire Archon, which I'll be getting into a bit later on. And yeah, so basically those are the main stats that you want to focus on. Um, so in terms of skills, I'll show you what I'm using. I'm using Arcane Torrent Flame Ward. Realize that this is a nice way. I'll explain to you what I'm doing with this, why I'm using Flame Ward instead of the other one, which is I think it's Static Discharge. Familiar with Spark Flint, which is another fire skill. Teleport, Safe Passage, which is not really useful. You can also use, I think it's Wormhole, which is also a nice one to use. But whatever, I'll use a little 25% less damage, which is always nice. Archon Combustion, you need the Fire Archon, Magic Weapon Ignite, and for defense, Ice Armor Crystallize since you're using Hollow Valkyries. Uh, I'm using Unstable Anomaly for the passives, but you don't need to. But it's always a nice little cheat death, plus the Firebird set, which basically allows you to never die in rifts, especially T13. Evocation, which is obviously useful for the cooldown. Audacity, 30% increase of damage, which is always nice. I think it's a multiplicative, but I'm not 100% sure. But at least it gives you more damage. And whenever you're off cooldown, I use Illusionist so that whenever you get damaged, which is always synergizes well with your teleport since you're always teleporting. So I use Illusionist with in this build. If you're lacking offense, you can maybe remove Unstable Anomaly if you realize you're not dying. With maybe, I wouldn't recommend Unwavering Will, but you can use Conflagration for a bit more critical hit chance. Aside from that, if you're really not dying, Glass Cannon, but I wouldn't recommend since it's additive, which is not really nice. So Conflagration or, yeah, I think Unstable Anomaly would be the best. The rest is basically, those two are pretty much mandatory, and those two are optional. The reason why I'm using 3 fire skills is for obviously the burning of elites when you're using the 3 fire skills together. So this allows you for in order to burn your enemies, but also with familiar, which is always on in magic weapon, you'll always be burning whenever you're in Archon form, so you don't need to worry. With Archon combustion, you'll be fine. So yeah, so essentially what you do is you skip all the trash, focus on elites. Kill elites allows you to have your Ingium on, and then move from elite to elite, and essentially you can clear a rift really fast. I mean, you can power through a T13 4-player rift by yourself. You'll be the main damage dealer, and you'll be teleporting, obviously, because I forgot to mention, you have the 2 pieces of Vyr, so you have all the runes of Archon, which allows you to teleport freely. And plus, whenever you have your Injum on, this gives you even a better. There's a small lag between the teleport whenever you're using teleport with the 2 piece of Vyr. Um, but with Injum, it really removes complete cooldown, and you can teleport like almost instantly. So I can show you a quick rift. So you can see here I'm in T13. So hopefully it's going to be on a good rift. I'm doing this on the first try. So obviously what you want to do before you start the rift, shitty rift, is to pop on all your buffs. I'm lagging a bit. Sorry about that. Then you can teleport, 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 teleport. Everything dies almost instantly. You see here my Archon is almost back to 100%. I'm still in Ingium. Teleporting, 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 teleporting. You can pop your Archon even though there's no elite, so you can have the free teleport. So I have a elite right here. So basically that's it. So yeah, so basically that's it. Hope you like the build, and if you have any questions, feel free to write some comments below.